Members, 5 minutes, please come to the chamber so we can get started on time. Members, come to the chamber.
The House will come to order. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Jefferson, Representative Shaw. Also, Representative Gray. Representative Shaw, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The prayer this morning will be led by Rajun Zed and Arpita Patel.
Namaste, Jai Swaminarayan, and good morning. My name is Arpita Patel, and it is a great honor to be here amongst all of you. The fundamental principle of Hinduism is ahimsa, meaning non-violence in thoughts, speech, and actions. With this sentiment in mind, we would like to offer a prayer with you all for there to be infinite peace, good, and enlightenment for all in our great state of Alabama. We pray for all to be blessed with the utmost happiness, prosperity, and the best of health. Finally, we pray for the continued progress of our great state. Let us pray for peace.
I'm Rajan Zed. I am President of Universal Society of Hinduism. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Astoma Sadgamya Tamsoma Jyotirgamya Mrityur Mamratam Gamya.
Om, may peace prevail everywhere. Lead me from illusion to reality. Lead me from darkness to light. Lead me from death to immortality.
Sarvetra Sukhina Santu Sarve Santu Nirmyaha Sarve Badrani Pasyantu Ma Kashidi Dukham Punya.
May all be happy. May all be free of disease. May all see that which is good. May no one suffer.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om.
Om, may peace prevail everywhere. Thank you all on behalf of our community, the BAPS Swaminarayan Hindu Temple, and District 47 for your time, care, and attention. Namaste and Jai Swaminarayan.
Recognizing today is the National Day of Prayer, we're also going to have different religions coming up. So at this time, we're going to offer our own Margie Wilcox. Just let us know your background, Margie, and then do our prayer, please.
I am one of many Catholics that serve in the Alabama legislature and of many of the staff members, and I'm proud to represent the Catholic faith. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. God grant us wisdom. God grant us from harm. God protect us from harm. Grant us the courage we need to face today's challenges. Give us the strength to work together for the common good. Please join me in saying the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
Next member is Philip Ensler. Philip Rigsby.
Yeah, either Philip will do. My name is Representative Philip Rigsby, and I am a Reformed Baptist that worships up in Huntsville in a church plant called Gracious Savior. So this morning, as we recognize the National Day of Prayer, I offer this prayer to our great God. Pray with me, please. Father God, we are so thankful this morning that we have the opportunity to come before your throne, to lift up our praise and adoration, to you. God, you did something for us that we could not do for ourselves. You sent your son, Jesus Christ, as a perfect sacrifice for all of our sins. God, you willingly put him on the cross, and he willingly gave up his spirit on behalf of us because of his great love for us. While we were still dead in our trespasses and our sins, Christ died for us. God, we're so thankful for your gift of Jesus. We're so thankful for the opportunity to serve you. Lord, you call us to be your ambassadors. You call us to be ambassadors for the gospel, to be light in a dark world, to be salt. So God, I pray this morning as we lift up our nation, as we think about the things that are going on, Lord, we pray that you will have mercy upon us. I pray for the people of this nation. God, I am thankful that we don't put our hope in government. We put our hope in you. And only you can do the work to change the hearts of the people of this nation. So I pray this morning, along with my brothers and sisters, that you will now, even in this moment, open the hearts of those in this nation and turn us back to you, because you are the only hope that can save this nation. Lord, we're thankful for the opportunity to serve. I thank you for the leadership of this house and of this state. Lord, I thank you for the opportunity to pray this morning and to lift up my thankfulness, and my love, my grace, and my mercy from what you have showed to me so that I can be a conduit and show that to others around us. Lord, this day, be with us, keep us safe and protect us, and forgive us where we fail you. For it's in the mighty name of Jesus that we pray. Amen.
Now I recognize Representative Patrick Sellers.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let us pray. God, we thank you for this collective body. Thank you for the opportunity to call upon your name. God, even as we gather here today, allow your spirit to reign in this place. God, we pray not only just for our state, but also our country and our world. Lord, we ask that you intervene in places of violence, intervene in places of war, but allow your peace to supersede and abide in this place. We thank you now. We love you. We adore you. The matchless, magnificent, powerful, pertinent, pernicious name of Jesus the Christ. Amen.
Amen. Members, today's Pledge of Allegiance will be led by William Giddy. He is the fourth grader attending Holbrook Elementary School. He is the son of Alex Giddy of the clerk's office and is guest of Chairman Lovern.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Speaker, Allman, Baker, Bedsole, Blackshear, Bolton, Boyd, Bracy, Brinyark, Brown, Butler, Carnes, Chestnut, Clark, Klaus, Collins, Colvin, Crawford, Daniels, Drummond, Dubose, Easterbrook, Ellis, England, Ensler, Estes, Faulkner, Fiddler, Fincher, Fort, Garrett, Gidley, Gavan, Gibbons, Gray, Hall, Hammett, Harbison, Harrison, Hassel, Hendricks, Hill, Hulk, Jones, Hollis, Hulsey, Hurst, Ingram, Jackson, Jones, Keel, Kirkland, Lamb, Lands, Lawrence, Lee, Lipscomb, Lomax, Lovern, Marcus, McCampbell, McClammy, Mooney, Moore M, Moore P, Morris, Oliver, Paramore, Pascal, Pettis, Pringle, Rafferty, Ream, Reynolds, Rigsby, Robbins, Robertson, Sellers, Sells, Shaver, Shaw, Shedd, Shiree, Simpson, Smith, Sorrells, Stodhagen, Standridge, Starn, Stringer, Stubbs, Tillman, Travis, Treadaway, Underwood, Wadsworth, Warren, Witt, Wharton, Wilcox, Wood D, Wood R, Woods, Yarborough.
63 members have answered roll. Quorum is present. The House is ready to transact business. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Lee, Chairman Lovern.
Mr. Speaker, I request that leaves of absence be granted for absent members.
Any objections? Hearing no objections, absent members are excused. The chair further recognizes the gentleman from Lee, Chairman Lovern.
Mr. Speaker, I have a report.
House of Representatives, your Standing Committee on Rules begs leave to report that it has carefully examined the Journal of the House for the 26th legislative day and finds the same to be correct. Signed, Representative Joe Lovern, Chairman.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the reading of the journal at length for the 26th legislative day be dispensed with.
Are there objections? Hearing no objections, journal is dispensed with. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Mobile, Pro Tem Pringle, for the announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today we have no announcements. However, I move that when we adjourn today, we leave the journal open for the clerk to complete his paperwork, and we reconvene on Tuesday, May 7th at 1 p.m. Tuesday.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion prevails. Clerk now receive reports, receive those committees, will receive standing committees, and receive those reports throughout the day. The House is now in position to transact business. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Lee, Chairman Lovern.
House Joint Resolution number 245 by Representative Garrett recommending Mr. Alan Gillespie for his professional accomplishments and exemplary leadership in music education on the occasion of his retirement.
I move adoption.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? It is adopted.
House Joint Resolution number 238 by Representative Stothagen, naming the portion of Alabama State Highway Route 157 between mile markers 40 and 41 in Lawrence County, the William Howell Rogers Senior Memorial Mile.
Move for adoption.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? It is adopted.
House Joint Resolution number 241 by Representative Bedsole, recognizing the positive approach and best practices of the Crisis Intervention Team programs and encouraging the development of active programs statewide.
Move for adoption.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? It is adopted.
House Joint Resolution number 246 by Representative Simpson, naming a portion of Alabama State Route 181 in Baldwin County, Alabama, the Representative Joe Faust Highway.
Move for adoption.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? It is adopted.
Senate Joint Resolution number 59 by Senator Williams, naming the bridge on Alabama State Highway Route 158 that spans McCrary Road in Mobile County, Alabama, the William Bill Stuckey Memorial Bridge.
Move for adoption.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? It is adopted.
Senate Joint Resolution number 71 by Senator Melson, naming the portion of Alabama State Highway Route 127 between the city of Athens and the town of Elkmont in Limestone County, Alabama, the Representative Tommy Carter Highway.
Move for adoption.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? It is adopted.
Senate Joint Resolution number 73 by Senator Stutz, naming the portion of Alabama State Highway Route 157 between mile markers 40 and 41 in Lawrence County, Alabama, the William.
Adoption.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? It is adopted. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Jefferson, Representative Sellers, point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I have y'all attention? This has been a historical day in our House chamber. I am a missionary Baptist. And if you understand being a missionary Baptist and you understand my heartfelt belief, tradition, training. But today, and I'm sure that there was probably a whole lot of chitter chatter because we started the day with our friends, Hindu friends that were here in this chamber, who come and came and exist in peace, love, unity, happiness, and not of war. Never let us miss the differences within our culture, our training, and our rearing. And me and Betso was just talking. What happens one day we all get to heaven and we see people that we think wasn't supposed to be in heaven?
Chair thanks the gentleman. Mr. Clerk, let's call the uncontested local bills.
On page 62 of the calendar, House Bill number 473 with substitute by Representative Hulk Jones relating to the city of Gulf Shores.
Chair recognizes the lady from Baldwin, Representative Givens. Question for the body is adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine and record the vote. 61 ayes, 0 nays. BIR is adopted. Representative Jones, you'll come down and explain the sub on this bill, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a simple annexation bill. LSA, due to some legal descriptions, wanted to put it in a substitute bill versus an amendment.
Very good, thank you. Question for the body now is adoption of the sub. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 34 ayes, 0 nays. The sub has been adopted. Question for the body now is final passage of HB 473 as amended. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 21 ayes, 0 nays. HB 473 as sub has passed. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 61 of the calendar, House Bill number 475 by Representative Ingram relating to the city of Elmore.
Question for the body's adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the vote. 52 ayes, 0 nays. BIR has been adopted. Question for the body now is final passage of HB 475. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 12 ayes, 0 nays. HB 475 has passed. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 62 of the calendar, House Bill number 487 by Representative Colvin relating to Marshall County.
Question for the body's adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 47 ayes, 0 nays. The BIR has been adopted. Question for the body's final passage. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the vote. 11 ayes, 0 nays. HB 487 has passed. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 62 of the calendar, House Bill number 491 by Representative Easterbrook relating to Choctaw County.
Question for the body now is adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock machine, record the votes. 47 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Question now is final passage. Clerk will unlock machine. Clerk will lock machine, record the votes. 9 ayes, 0 nays. HB 491 has passed. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 61 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 86, a constitutional amendment by Senator Allen relating to Tuscaloosa County.
Representative Bolton, you're recognized.
Yes, sir. This is a constitutional amendment for Tuscaloosa County. For many years, we've got a section of the county that has been collected. They've been collecting ad valorem taxes for the city school systems. What this will do is allow people to vote to move that back over to the county school system. It's not in the city of Tuscaloosa.
Okay, you've heard the explanation. This is a CA requiring 63 votes. Clerk will unlock machine and the members will vote.
Thank you, body.
Clerk will lock machine, record the vote. 65 ayes, 0 nays. The BR has been adopted. Question now is final passage of SB 86. Clerk unlock machine and the members vote. It is
Needs 63.
constitutional amendment requiring 63 votes.
Thank you.
Clerk will lock machine, record the vote. 66 ayes, 0 nays. Question for the body now is local application. Clerk will unlock machine and the members vote. Clerk will lock machine, record the vote. 43 ayes, 0 nays. Local application has passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, gentlemen.
We're done now, Clay.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Lee, Chairman Lovern.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a resolution.
Clerk, see the resolution.
House Resolution number 249 by the House Rules Committee, the special order calendar.
Chairman Lovern.
Move adoption.
All in favor say aye. Any opposed? It is adopted. Clerk, call first bill on special order calendar.
On page 55 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 136 by Senator Gudger relating to the statewide 911 board.
Okay, sorry about that. That's the wrong calendar. So, Ms. Clerk, let's call up, the first one will be SB 324, please.
On page 62 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 324 by Senator Coleman relating to elections.
Chair recognizes Leader Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And to the members, this piece of legislation by Senator Coleman and colleagues in the Alabama Senate will give us an opportunity to position the president of being on the ballot in the state of Alabama. Knowing that the convention is on August 20th, it gives us an opportunity to change it from 82 days to 74 days. I'd first like to thank Secretary of State Wes Allen, Mike Jones, and others for positioning the language for this piece of legislation to be able to make this very important change for ballot access. And so there are a number of individuals. I know that we started out in the House. Certainly thank the House committee for passing it out of the House, but we're dealing with the Senate version to expedite this process. And so I just want to thank them for this. I do know that afterwards we want to open it up for co-sponsors in the House of Representatives, those individuals that were very passionate about this particular issue. I know there'll be one side, Mr. Speaker, but I think that that's something that's important, and I want to thank the entire the Senate and the Secretary of State's office and all of those that worked hard on this. And thank you, Mr. Speaker, for making certain that this issue is a priority issue and putting partisanship to the side and actually doing what's right for the people of the United States of America. So that, Mr. Speaker, I call for the bill.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from Dale, Representative Klaus.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Daniels, I didn't know this was going to come up first, and I'm going to support this. I'm glad we're doing this and appreciate your efforts on this, but I've been trying to get some answers ever since this issue came up of why the 82 days and why was it just us, and just reading from press reports, why is it just us in Ohio that are in this situation? And obviously, it's not a national law on 82 days, so why are we on the 82 days?
I think that that's been sort of the rule from the Secretary of State's office in general. And whenever there's an election, you got to give up to 82 days to be able to. I think that it's just been precedents in the past. Now, we did make this change in 2020 for then President Trump.
Yeah, I know, and that's fine. And
I'm not sure.
I just don't know if we're getting to the root cause of what the problem is. I tried to just quickly Google on national conventions because the press report I saw is that this changed back in 1975 in Alabama to go to 82 days. And in 1996, both political parties had their conventions in September because of the Olympics in Atlanta. So we obviously had to change for both of them then. I was in the legislature. I don't remember us doing that. We may have, but the Secretary of State just might have just gone ahead and just put everybody on the ballot without an issue there.
Well, Representative, I can't tell you what happened back then. I can only, I know from looking at this what happened, you know, the fix that we tried, a one-time fix back in 2020 that ended up not necessarily benefiting both parties, but one party over the other. And so this time, hopefully this will be a permanent fix long-term.
Well, I don't know that it is, and that's what I want us to get to, is a permanent fix.
Well, I'm told from, based upon the information from the Secretary of State's office, that this will be a permanent fix. That's from our office and Secretary of State's office, that this will be the permanent fix long-term for both parties.
Well,
unless you're hearing something different.
No, I'm just, what I'm trying to read it, because I go back to 2008, and the Democrats had their convention in September.
Okay.
And so it wasn't, that obviously had to change it then, and then in 2012, the Republicans.
But we've been moving the primary date. Keep moving the primary date. I'm told that the primary date also has impact over this. Because in Alabama, we've moved our primary date a few times.
Well, yes, we did. And in 1994, and then also 1998, my first and second elections, qualifying ended on the first Friday in April, and the elections were the first Tuesday in June, which is approximately 60 days. So I know then it was around 60 days. It wasn't 82 or 76 or so. At some point, that changed then, and then in 2012, Republicans had their convention in September, and we obviously, I don't remember changing that 12 years ago.
Well, we changed it in 2020.
I know that.
As far back as I can remember.
I just don't know that we're getting to the root of the permanent fix, and if you could look into that later, next session, I'll be glad to work with you, because this is ridiculous, us having to do this every 4 years.
And I agree with you, Chairman, but I think that for me, we got to get done now, and you have my commitment of working on a longer term fix, and I think it's going to require us meeting with the Secretary of State's office and others that are more legal minds and constitutional minds.
I understand that. But as I said, the issue a couple of weeks ago was it's just us in Ohio, so it's obviously.
Yeah.
Why do we have to be one or two or three states always that are different than everybody else?
I agree with you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair thanks the gentleman. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Mobile, Pro Tem Pringle.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, a little background. In the state of Alabama, the Secretary of State and the elections people have to develop over 4,000 different ballots in the state of Alabama. because of the way the districts and the counties and the voting precincts, there are well over 4,000 ballots that have to be developed and get printed so we can start sending out absentee ballots in time. That's the reason why you have this cutoff. This is not going to be a permanent fix because we can't control when they set the two parties set their conventions. But this will fix it for us. We've had to do it in the past. This is nothing new. We just need to fix this so we can, the president can be on the ballot just like our nominee can be on the ballot. But we need to get it done fast enough so they can typeset these ballots and get them printed. So I recommend we pass this bill and move on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. Question for the body now is adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes, 100 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Leader Daniels.
Mr. Speaker, I move for final passage.
Chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson, Representative Van.
I don't have a problem with the bill at all, and I know it's something that we have to be done, and I know it varies depending on which year, which party the president sits versus each convention. The latter convention is always the party in which there's a sitting president that holds their convention. So but I'm trying to understand, why did we not take the House version? My colleagues are saying because we would have definitely wanted to have signed on to this, especially with there being more Democrats certainly in the House, with all due respect to all involved, as to why we took the House version, the Senate version over the House version, and I know yours moved a little bit more precipitously through this process.
Yeah, and so that's kind of been the situation with the Senate. The House version still hadn't even got its day in committee on the Senate side. And so what we're going to do to try to rectify this is hopefully open it up for co-sponsors so that members...
Well, we can't because it's the Senate. We won't be able to do that because it's the Senate version. Can't open it up if it's a Senate version. One thing about it, when I come to this microphone, I know the rules. So
I stand correct. You're right. But I think for me, what's more of a priority is getting it done. I understand.
I mean, I got that. I mean, we got all that. We just wanted to get the clarity. My colleagues over there wanted to know why we did not. We knew yours was moving, but we certainly, on such a moment like this, would have wanted to have that opportunity to be a part. Because I had actually started drafting legislation, but I was told that you all had already moved, so that was fine. So that's not an issue. But I did want to know what the rationale behind not moving your legislation was. And I do know there were some modifications and some issues from the Senate side because some of them wanted to be on their legislation, and I can understand, and rightfully so.
Yeah, and I posed the same question, Representative, and have yet to receive reasoning. But for me, being that this moved through the process yesterday, I just felt the need to get it done. So I understand your.
Well, it's not just me.
I know. I think all of the colleagues would have wanted to be on it. Yeah.
In the House, wanted to be a part of this.
Absolutely.
This moment. So I'm very disturbed by that. Of course, I support the legislation wholeheartedly, but I do have a concern that your bill had moved and did not move in a posture in which we could have allowed as many of us in the House to be a part of that particular process. So I thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Speaker.
And Mr. Speaker, I understand the gentlelady's point. I think that long term, when we're dealing with issues as critical as this particular issue, I do think that there needs to be further conversations about movement of House bills more so than we have had in the past. And we see the unbalanced movement of disproportionately more bills moved from Senate bills have moved during this particular process than House bills through the entire process, the completion of the process. And we just have to, on the front end, Mr. Speaker, I do think it's important that we have those discussions, and it's something that we have to have a conversation about, making certain that the House members are also getting the credit for moving things such as this, as is critical as this particular issue. And so I do understand the gentle lady's point, and hope that as we move forward, that these type of things will be taken into consideration so that House members will also get the credit that they so deserve for working hard on this issue. And she's right. We actually move our bill through the process a lot faster. We responded first, but you know, at the end of the day, the details of this is important. But I think, in all fairness, long term, we do need to have those conversations.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Question for the body now is final passage of SB 324. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes, 93 ayes, 0 nays. SB 324 has passed. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 7 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 105 by Senator Singleton, relating to civil liability.
Representative McCampbell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the recognition. Senate Bill 105, it limits the liability of members of the EMA, Federal Emergency Management Certified Community Emergency Response Team who render emergency care under certain conditions. With that, Mr. Speaker, I ask for the BR.
That is question for the body's adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote, 102 ayes, 0 nays. The BR has been adopted. Representative McCampbell.
Mr. Speaker, if there are no questions, I'd ask for final adoption.
That is the question's final passage of SB 105. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes, 101 ayes, 0 nays. SB 105 has passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank the gentleman. Clerk, call next bill.
Thank you for the recognition, Mr. Speaker. I'm proud to represent the House members as chair of the Joint Transportation Committee, and I'll be presenting SB 155. This bill transfers some of the reporting duties and clarifies that the Department of Revenue will give the details and the amounts of the local motor fuel excise tax revenues collected by the counties and the cities, and that's going to be transferred from the Department of Transportation to the Department of Revenue. I'd like to pause right here and give a shout out to Baker Allen for his work on behalf of the League of Municipalities, because when we passed this law, it was very hard to disseminate that information to the municipalities, and they took it on as a special project to make sure that especially the smaller cities knew what their responsibilities were. So thank you to the League. Also, lastly, there's a review by the Office of Public Accounts, and instead of doing reports just to be doing reports annually, we're going to ask that that be only given when it's at the request of the committee or the request of the chair. I'd like to call for the BIR if there are no further questions.
That is questions, adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote, 102 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Chairwoman Wilcox.
If there's no questions, I would like to move for final passage, please, sir.
That is the question, is final passage of SB 155. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote, 100 ayes, 0 nays. SB 155 has passed.
On behalf of the Joint Transportation Committee, we thank you.
Chair thanks the lady. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 54 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 177 by Senator Gudger, relating to gas districts.
Representative Paramore, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill deals with gas districts. Those are the districts that disseminate natural gas, and it increases the fees authorized to be paid to their directors and the chairman of the board. With that, Mr. Speaker, I call for the BIR.
That is questions, adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 101 ayes, 0 nays. The BR has been adopted. Representative Paramore.
Mr. Speaker, if there are no further questions, I call for final passage.
That is the question's final passage of SB 177. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 101 ayes, 0 nays. SB 177 has passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank the gentleman. Clerk, call the next bill.
On page 38 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 217 by Senator Chasteen relating to public school teachers.
Representative Paramore, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill is relating to public education, and what it does is it allows paraprofessionals and teachers' aides that if they have at least 4 years experience as a teacher's aide, once they become a certified teacher, they can claim at least half of that time toward their salary schedule after June 1st of 2024. This is for teachers that are hired after June 1st of 2024. With that, Mr. Speaker, I call for the BIR.
Question for the body's adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 98 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Representative Paramore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And if there are no questions, I call for final passage.
That is the question's final passage. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the vote. 100 ayes, 0 nays. SB 217 has passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And if possible, can we indefinitely postpone House Bill 339, please?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is postponed.
Thank you.
Thank the gentleman. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 48 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 283 by Senator Hovey relating to motor vehicles.
Chairman Lovern, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We passed the House version of this bill. This makes it where when a state trooper or first responder is stepping out to stop traffic in a highway for an emergency scene, then it makes them have the authority to do that because they would just be considered a pedestrian if we don't pass this bill. So with that, I'd ask for the BIR.
Next question for the body's adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 100 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Chairman Lovern.
That's final passage.
That's question final passage of SB 283. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 103 ayes, 0 nays. I was waiting for that other vote, Joe. That's why I was waiting.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, members.
You're welcome. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 31 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 225 by Senator Gudger relating to state symbols.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and body. From earlier in the session, you will probably recall we passed HB 229, which made little blue stem grass the Senate from Senator Gudger. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I will move to the BIR.
Next question is adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 93 ayes, 6 nays. BR has been adopted.
And if there are no questions, Mr. Speaker, I'd move for final passage.
That is questions final passage of SB 225. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 82 ayes, 10 nays. SB 225 has passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, body.
Thank you, gentlemen. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 37 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 175 by Senator Chasteen relating to local boards of education.
Representative Estes, you're recognized. Representative Paramore. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is Senate Bill 175, and if there are no questions, I call for the BIR.
Chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson, Representative Moore.
Where's it? This is Estes bill. I don't even know what it is. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think we had a House bill doing the same thing, did we?
Yes, ma'am. Representative Estes.
And I think my concern then is the same concern I have, because all of a board member's salary does not come from the state. So is this just giving them the opportunity, if they can afford, to increase their board salary?
Yes, ma'am.
If they have that
If they have the
But
dollars.
it won't make it mandatory.
It kind of sets a ceiling, and they can.
Okay, so they can go because all of them can't afford to just go up to this amount of money.
That's correct.
Okay, I just want to clarify that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Chair thanks the lady. Question for the body now is adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Stay right here.
Clerk will lock the machine. Record votes. 99 ayes, 0 nays. The BIR is adopted. Representative Paramore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If there are no further questions, I'll call for final passage.
That is questions. Final passage of SB 175. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 100 ayes, 0 nays. SB 175 has passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well, you're welcome. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 56 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 309 by Senator Livingston, relating to sales taxes.
Chairman Witt.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the recognition. SB 309 basically is a bill that will provide that additional state sales tax that being assessed at the ABC retail store shall be equal to local and county municipalities. Basically, they're getting on par with what everyone else is doing, and this only affects the state-owned stores. So with that, Mr. Speaker, no questions, I ask for the BIR.
That is questions. Adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 92 ayes, 0 nays. BIR has been adopted. Chairman Witt.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If there are no more questions, I ask for final passage of SB 309.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Winston, Representative Wadsworth.
May the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
In this, who receives these additional funds?
They will go back to the local counties and municipalities that are charged.
What is the fiscal note on this?
I do not have the physical note because these are just the ABC stores only affected. It's all positive.
Now, there's a fiscal note attached to the bill.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that.
And it's $6.7 million. And then, in effect, what we're doing is we're raising the taxes for people to buy alcohol and requiring them to pay an additional $6.7 million in additional taxes in Alabama.
Right, and basically, yeah, we had found during some research here recently that the ABC stores had an advantage over our mom and pops and retailers in our district. So those 180 plus ABC stores needed to increase that, get on par.
But don't the ABC stores sell alcohol to the mom and pops?
They do, but this is at a rate of 6%, and the state's losing their some of their funding, and so is our local municipalities.
Okay.
And our counties. But it is going back into our counties.
Okay, but it's still a tax increase of $6.7 million.
If you buy alcohol at the ABC stores, it will go to the 9.5%, 10%, whatever is being charged at those local municipalities.
Okay.
That's correct.
I'm not for it because I don't think
I
at this time, we're at a time where inflation is skyrocketing, and adding these additional taxes, I feel like would not benefit our area. And a lot of the folks that have, these cities and counties, it's just another means of raising taxes. Is that correct? Okay.
On those local ABC stores, state-owned stores, correct only. That's right.
Okay, appreciate it.
Chair thanks the gentleman. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Cullman, Representative Harbison.
Yes, sir.
Tell everybody, this is a bill for small business, basically.
That's correct.
When you go into the ABC store, this is a bill for small business. When you go into the ABC store, you're currently taxed at a flat rate. The municipalities are exempt. The state has exempted their own stores from these taxes over the years. If I'm a private business and I own a liquor store right by the ABC store, I have to charge these taxes. The ABC stores already get the advantage of selling cheaper than I do. Then they've got a 15 or 20% difference in the taxes as well. This is something that's for the small businesses. It's not an increase in tax. All it does is it allows the ABC stores to start collecting what the other stores are already collecting.
That's correct.
It does not go on the wholesale side. It goes on the retail side.
And it equals the playing field, as you said, to our local mom and pops who have invested in our districts.
Absolutely.
So, again, that takes that.
Chair thanks the gentleman. Question for the body now is final passage of HB 309. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 85 ayes, 8 nays. SB 309. Gentlemen.
7 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 322 with substitute by Senator Chambliss relating to the Department of Corrections.
Chairman Hill.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I'm good. How about you?
Mr. Speaker, this bill was substituted in the Judiciary Committee. What I want to do is talk to you about the bill and the substitute, because that's the one we're dealing with. What this bill does is it allows, this comes out of our Prison Oversight Committee, and it allows the commissioner for the Department of Corrections to appoint exempt employees, both to aid him in the oversight of the operation and administration of our prison system, and it also allows him to appoint exempt employees to act as liaisons between the prisoners who are within Department of Corrections and their families to disseminate information. With that, Mr. Speaker, I would ask that we adopt the sub.
Let's get the BR first.
Do the BR, yes, sir. Thank you.
Question for the body's adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the vote. 100 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Chairman Hill.
Mr. Speaker, I just explained the sub when I went through it, and if there's no further questions, I would ask that we adopt the sub.
Chair recognizes a lady from Calhoun, Dr. Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the recognition, but I did not hear your explanation of the sub, and this is very important to me, having dealt with Tutwiler and some other issues. So if you would just, maybe it's because of my age, if you just be a little bit quieter so the old lady can hear the explanation
of this is very important to me and to calls that I get from people about the. Thank you so much.
Ms. Boyd, this bill, they ain't listening.
I can't hear. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
Chair thanks the lady. Chair recognizes the lady from Baldwin, Representative Givens. Your light is on.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman yield?
Certainly.
Okay. Representative Hill, I just want to thank you for bringing this bill. This is a good bill, in my opinion, and I'm happy to support it. I think it's necessary, and it will help the families to have someone to talk to during a crisis. I think it's very important, and it'll help with the family resource problem that our state is experiencing. And I know personally some of my people in my district have had situations that this needed to already have been in place.
People ought to be able to get information about family members that are in prison, and that is part of the. If you bifurcate this bill, that's part of the issue. The other part deals with allowing the Department of Corrections, the commissioner, to hire exempt employees to work in administration and that type of thing within the system.
Right, and I hope everyone sees the importance of this and votes and supports this bill.
Me too.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Chair thanks the lady. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Tuscaloosa, Representative England.
Thank you for recognition from the gentleman yield.
Certainly.
I'm not going to take long. I just wanted to tell the world what a pleasure it's been to work with you on the Prison Oversight Committee.
Thank you.
You're doing a great job, along with Matt Simpson and many others.
And the three that we have from the Senate work with us well too. Chambliss, Roberts, and Singleton. We all work together. We do work together well.
And over the last 3 years, we've seen the Prison Oversight Committee take that mission and expand. Work. Now, and again, we are very responsive to the Department of Corrections when they come and they tell us they have issues. One of the issues that they told us they had was hiring wardens.
Right.
And,
that's true.
And how their pool is often limited to people that you may not necessarily want to promote.
Correct.
And as we've seen in the newspaper recently, we've had some issues there because they can't go outside and hire someone else because of some of the rules that are in place.
Right.
So I'm not going to go too far off here, because I'm going to try to keep this comfortable, no turbulence. But there are some.
I'm comfortable, Mr. England. I've heard you.
But honestly, we have a lot more to do.
We do.
But you and I have talked about this before, and I want to stress something. We've appropriated more money. We've created more resources. We've given them some procedural freedom in some of the things they can do to hire, right?
Yes, so, I mean, I agree with everything you said.
So we're doing what and we're also appropriating more money. Legislature, for what it's worth, is doing the core fundamental things to support some changes in our Department of Corrections. But I think the point needs to remain and be made that this is an executive branch function, meaning that the governor's office needs to begin holding those folks accountable so they do the things that they're supposed to do.
I agree.
So I know we got...
I agree.
Yeah, I know there is some shared responsibility, but I want to make sure we understand that certain things that we're trying to do legislatively could just as easily, more efficiently, and even more effectively be accomplished through the executive branch of government.
In a way, we are almost trying to steer the car by looking through the rear view mirror, aren't we?
Right. Or drive the car.
Looking
from
through
the passenger seat.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating because as we continue to kind of nibble at the edges through legislation, some of the crisis situations that we've identified are getting worse. And I also want to point out, you also sponsored a bill about split sentences, right?
Yes, sir.
And that's another way to give local judges more authority in how people matriculate through the prison system.
It does. I agree.
And that's a good thing, because if they're not going to figure out an appropriate way to manage the prison population from the where it's supposed to happen in the Department of Corrections and Pardons and Parole, we once again start trying to figure out a way to work our way around some of those issues.
I understand. You're right.
So, and again, what is this bill? It's one of those things where we're trying to, once again, work our way around the edges to push them in the right direction so they become more responsive to families, they become more responsive to us as legislators, but also operate in a more effective and efficient manner. And I said it before, and it's a joke, but it's got some truth to it. Being a Department of Corrections commissioner is like being Vanderbilt's football coach. I mean, like, what do you want me to do? But if there is a process in place, there are laws in place, there are procedures and policies in place, we would avoid a lot of problems that we're having if they were just basically followed.
I understand.
Yeah.
But we are, and I agree with you, Mr. Ingram, but we are where we are.
Right.
And I really do believe that the commissioner needs leeway in being able to put people in place that are responsible to him. And I think this will help this.
Absolutely. And I want to publicly also say that, we do say a lot or do a lot or point a lot of fingers or identify a lot of issues in the Department of Corrections, but it's not without understanding how difficult of a situation he's in, right? It's a hard job, and I think he's doing the best that he can do with what he's given in the circumstances he's dealing with.
Me too.
We didn't end up here overnight. This is off of years of just outright neglect and negligence. And the other thing is, and I think this is something we've also talked about, is that we're going to have to do more than build prisons. And this is also another appropriate step forward to deal with that too.
There are steps. We're not at the last step. How about that?
Yeah. And the last thing I'll mention about our work in the committee, one of the things that we've done, and I want to give the people and our constituents credit on this too, is that we changed the law a couple of years ago to create a public hearing aspect of this. And I want to thank the people who have come to those meetings and told us about all the issues that they're dealing with. It takes real courage to do that because some of those issues are really private things that they're revealing to us. And I want them to know that they're heard, and their effort, their advocacy, and their emotion and their connection to this issue is also part of the driving force behind why we're here today. So there is some reward out there for trying to communicate with your legislators and your elected representatives, because there are times that we do respond. Right. There are times that you help us identify a problem that we may not necessarily be aware of, or to the extent of how serious it is, and we respond. And this is one of those examples.
And I tell you, like you, I enjoy that commission, but I enjoy you on it. I enjoy Representative Simpson's. I think we work well together. I appreciate the fact that the Speaker put the three of us on there. Right. And I think we work well with the three in the Senate. And I think they've been very cooperative with us as we've tried to move this forward.
Yeah. So again, thank you for your work. Looking forward to doing more. And thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair thanks the gentleman. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Madison, Chairman Reynolds.
Chairman, I won't take much of your time. First of all, thank you for the hours of work that you've put in on the prison oversight. I've sat in on a few of those, even though I'm not on that committee, and it's critical work. Everybody in this body has received information, complaints about issues from an operational standpoint within the corrections. I think they are addressing those issues. I think with the construction of the new prison, they're going to be able to better manage a lot of those issues. We're dealing with a very violent population in our prison system. Those offenders are going to be able to be separated in this single cell system that we're doing. And I think this bill, even though we are spending a little general fund money in your bill, it will be huge savings down the road from an operational and personnel standpoint. Appreciate your patience with me as we held that bill up in committee. Appreciate you incorporating the things that I brought to you that I had found, and overnight you found more. And I think so it was the right thing to do to hold the bill up and get it right come to the floor today. So I appreciate your work.
And I likewise, I feel the same way, because you didn't have to put it on as quickly as you did. You know, I asked you to put it on, and you put it on immediately. And I feel like this will be a benefit in the long run. I genuinely do. And obviously, Senator Chambliss authored most of this, but we have tweaked it. We've changed it. And I think it's better today than it was when we got it down here a week ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Chair thanks the gentleman. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Tuscaloosa, Representative Lamb. Question for the body now is adoption of the sub. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the vote. 102 ayes, 0 nays. Sub has been adopted. Chairman Hill.
That's got it. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Shelby, Representative Mooney.
Thank you, sir. I have an amendment that I believe that Chairman Hill will say is a friendly amendment. It simply adds victims and victims after inmates in relation to a couple of spots in the bill, and one is a technical correction because of redundancy from legal on the one of the committees. It's mentioned twice and should have been just.
Clerk, see the amendment.
Amendment to Senate Bill number 322 by Representative Mooney.
The sponsor received this as a friendly amendment?
Yes, sir. It's fine.
Okay, you've heard the explanation from the amendment. The sponsor views it as a friendly amendment. Chair recognizes the lady from Madison, Representative Hall, speaking on the amendment.
Thank you. I'm doing too many things. Thank you. In your amendment, what are you doing?
The amendment just simply adds "and victims." It talks about the families, and it just adds "and victims," which includes both the people we're trying to work with in our prison system, and then and victims. And the other is a redundancy that the legal folks said a committee was mentioned twice, and it should have been eliminated on the lines 97, I think, and 98
Right,
there.
committee and created pursuant.
It was and it just eliminated that committee being mentioned twice.
Okay.
I didn't understand all of that, but that was from legal.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry I didn't see you. I had that copy for you.
Chair thanks the lady. The question for the body now is adoption of the floor amendment. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote.
Yes, ma'am. I do remember you talking about
Clerk will lock the machine. Record the vote. 102 ayes, 0 nays. Floor amendment has been adopted.
Thank you, sir. I so appreciate it, and thank you and your committee. Please get us that report that's 9 years old from corrections. Thank you.
We've already talked about so doing. I got you.
Chair thanks the gentleman. The question for the body now is final passage of SB 322. Clerk will unlock the machine and members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 101 ayes, 0 nays. SB 322 as sub and amended is passed.
Yes, sir. Mr. Speaker, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Clerk, call up the next bill.
On page 50 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 323 by Senator Price, relating to taxation.
Chairman Fincher, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. SB 323 is a bill that deals in a very specific case with taxation in one county. The bill would change a stream of funding to a facility in Randolph County that is fixing to go under possible bankruptcy or foreclosure. If that being the case, this would alter the stream into an escrow account so that the money would be safe and would be usable for the county's purposes thereafter. Othny helped put this bill together. It is basically something of a local nature, but does need to be passed by the entire state legislature. With that, I would entertain any questions and move for the BR.
That is question is adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the vote. 103 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Mr. Chairman.
I would move for final passage.
That
Mr.
is
Speaker.
question is final passage of SB 323. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the vote. 103 ayes, 0 nays. SB 323 has passed.
Thank you, membership.
Thank the gentleman. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 54 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 336 by Senator Wagner, relating to research and development.
Representative Lomax, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the recognition. Ladies and gentlemen, SB 336 establishes research and development corridors as an economic development tool that municipalities can use to attract biotech, advanced manufacturing, research and development, as well as many advanced industries. This tool is a combination of economic development incentives that cities already have access to, but it's focused on research and development as a core principle. If cities choose to enact this research and development corridor, they then would be able to exempt businesses in that zone from paying non-educational taxes, and in return, those businesses could pay fees that could be used as a resource to encourage future investment from industries, as well as leveraging federal and research development grants within the corridor. These corridors are permissive, meaning that a city has to opt in and create a geographical area by an authorizing resolution. And if they do, it could help spur economic development, continue to keep talent within the state of Alabama, and attract industries from outside of our state into our state. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I call for the BIR.
Chair recognizes the lady from Madison, Representative Hall. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Jefferson, Representative Rafferty.
Thank you for the recognition, Mr. Speaker. I just want to come down here, take a minute to say I commend you for bringing this piece of legislation and kind of helping shepherding it through the House here. It's a great piece. You know, from what I'm hearing, it'll have drastic impact on my area up there in Birmingham, potentially making us, a tech hub of the Southeast. In fact, if we were, we could secure between $40 and $75 million. We could see the drastic improvement of health and community, and it would have a generational economic impact. It's transformational. So I really want to thank you for bringing it. I think that this is good for Birmingham. This is good for the whole state. And we'll see the jobs and the opportunities that come from it. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Representative, for your efforts on this. I think it's going to be helpful for the entire state, but it's very good to hear that there'll be benefit in your area.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair thanks the gentleman. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Jefferson, Chairman Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman yield?
I will.
Thank you for bringing this bill. I think it's a very good piece of legislation focused on the future and focused for something new for Alabama. And what I particularly appreciate is the fact that the tax abatement opportunity is non-educational tax abatement. So this will not affect the Education Trust Fund. Research and development and the activities resulting from these type corridors will positively impact the Education Trust Fund. So I appreciate your work on this. I think it's a good bill.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you.
The chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson, Representative Van.
You intimated that a city can choose or not to choose, or a municipality can choose or not to choose to participate. I thought I heard you say that, but it was so noisy in here.
Yeah, I did say that. So it's permissive in nature. So a city has to choose to establish one of these by a resolution.
And so do you know where these are going to now be established, or this just opens the door for anybody to be able to establish one?
Any municipality. So it could be Decatur, Tuscumbia, Huntsville, Birmingham.
I can't remember if this is the bill that we were looking at. I think we were on the phone with Southern Research in Birmingham the other day, and I know it was a Senate bill, but I just can't remember.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe Southern Research could be able to utilize this. They would fit that biotech hub need. I know in the city of Huntsville.
Only for biotech?
No, there's other industries. But biotech is one that is identified.
Okay, I'm just trying to make sure this was the bill. I can't, the number escapes me.
It is.
It is? Okay. So yeah, we had a quite lengthy conversation, but someone was on the phone call who was assigned to be on the call, but was so busy they had to get off. I'm still trying to.
Well, that's great. I look forward to your support.
I didn't say I was supporting it. I came up here to get information.
That's what you intimated.
No, I didn't intimate that. I didn't intimate that. Everybody knows I'm going to say what I mean and mean what I say. But since it's you bringing the bill, I might give it just a little bit of consideration.
That's all I ask.
But it's a good bill. I just wanted to make sure it was the one that we spoke about the other day. And I'm glad that you came up here very intelligently and well-versed to present this bill.
Well, I think it's going to bring a lot of green to the state of Alabama, about as green as your dress.
Well, if that's the case, darling, it will definitely be a winner, because I am a winner in this dress today. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Jefferson, Representative Shaw, will be the fourth person to speak on the BR.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know this will benefit Birmingham, but in my background, in my district in and around in Hoover, we've used many districts like this. So I see this as a great opportunity for all cities to add another tool in the toolkit for economic development. So I appreciate your hard work on it. I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, I enjoyed talking to you and your background, you know, being on the city level, and you have a lot of good experience that was helpful in this, so I appreciate you.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good thing. Thank you, Representative. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair, thanks, gentlemen. Question for the body now is adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the vote. 101 ayes, 0 nays. The BR has been adopted. Representative Lomax.
With that, I move for final passage, if no other questions.
That is the question. It's final passage of SB 336.
Well, sorry, I think we have an amendment.
I don't have any lights on. Chair recognizes the lady from Madison, Representative Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We're moving mighty fast. I was hoping we would leave early, but I tell
Well, it
you
sounds
what.
like the peanut gallery over there is giving you a hard
I
time.
know. Thank you. Thank you. But anyway, what I have is an amendment, and I think it's a friendly amendment. What it really does is on line 344, page 13, under the subdivisions of the Carter's minority business organizations in Alabama shall submit names that they would suggest for appointment to the board to the authorizing subdivision.
Clerk, see the amendment.
Amendment to Senate Bill number 336 by Representative Hall.
Yeah, thank you, Representative Hall. You and I discussed this morning and would view this as a friendly amendment.
Okay, you've heard the explanation of the amendment. The sponsor views it as a friendly amendment. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote.
Thank you.
Thank the lady. Clerk will lock the machine and report the votes. 103 ayes, 0 nays. Amendment has been adopted. Question for the body now is final passage of SB 336 as amended. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine and record the vote. 101 ayes, 0 nays. SB 336 has passed as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, body.
Thank you, gentlemen. Clerk, call the next bill.
On page 30 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 119 by Senator Stewart relating to child labor.
Representative Almond, you recognize.
Yes, sir. This is SB 119, and this bill amends our current laws with regard to fines and penalties when a company violates our child labor laws. And in particular, it deals with increased fines and penalties when a child who is illegally employed suffers serious physical injury or death. Call for the BIR.
Chair recognizes the lady from Madison, Representative Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Lady Hill, I was looking for earlier we passed a bill allowing child labor. And this particular bill is dealing with penalties. Recently, there were stories that were in the news about individuals working at a car company that was killed or doing roofing or something. How would that, what is in place now and what you're bringing, how is that different, or does it make it better or worse? I mean, I'm assuming, disregard the worst, that how we're improving on that, or what are the...
So those two bills are unrelated. This bill does not change the age at which somebody is allowed to work or any of the rules surrounding that. It just recognizes that when a child who is illegally employed and it suffers serious physical injury or dies due to that employment, we're increasing the fines and penalties.
And what are those? I don't have my copy of the bill up here. What are those?
So, just one second, I'll get turned to. There's a couple of different sections in the bill. The one
You have
dealing
a
with the-
civil one and a criminal one.
That's right. So there's civil penalties and civil fines.
Right.
Okay. And there's criminal penalties at the end. And currently, they could, if it's serious physical injury, it's moving from a Class A misdemeanor to a Class C felony, and death from a Class C felony to a Class B felony.
C to
And
B.
this is once if they're judged to be guilty. You know,
Okay.
it's not an automatic thing.
All right. And the difference is that the change in the civil penalties?
There is some change in the civil penalties as well. The main change is the increase to in the fine to $10,000.
To what?
10,000.
10,000?
Yes, ma'am.
$10,000 increase.
So
Is that
five to 10,000?
That's the maximum?
Yes. Currently, it's 1 to 5,000, and we're increasing it 5 to 10.
That was the thing I remember. I was looking for my bill. My note was, does that, I mean, you're talking about a small amount of money, for which may be something that is going to be affecting individual, a child. We're talking about a child. And it sounds as if we don't value. Are you understanding what I'm saying?
I do.
Value.
So this isn't the fine part doesn't.
I understand.
It doesn't have to do with if they've died or suffered serious. It's just they get caught employing a child underage in these particularly dangerous environments that are prohibited under our current law. That's where the fines come in.
And I understand that, but I'm also saying it also, I think those fines that we're talking about, people that are hiring children that are not underage, we realize on families owning farms in different areas, that's different. But if we have a company or organization that's hiring kids underage and that something happens to that child, that seems to be very little value placed on the life of that child.
Well, I don't disagree with you. However, at least we're moving in the right direction.
Not much.
Increasing. Yes, ma'am.
Chair recognizes the lady from Cherokee, Roseanne Shavers.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentlelady yield?
I sure will.
I just wanted to come and speak on this bill and the importance of it, because we need to be the protectors of our children when they're being exploited. And sometimes younger people may not stand up for themselves. And so we need these guidelines in place and penalties in place for bad actors that would seek to exploit our children for their gain and at their expense. So I fully support this bill and thank you for carrying it in the House.
Thank you very much.
Chair thanks the lady. Chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson, Roseanne Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support the bill. Senator Stewart is down here, and I had a problem with this bill for him. It's a good bill. But my problem, the senator came down here and was asking me to support his bill. The senator and I both graduated from the Tuskegee University, along with Rolanda Hollis, the Tuskegee University. But the senator did not think that either of us Tuskegee graduates were worthy to carry his bill. So, and I asked him, he didn't know 2 Tuskegeans was in this body. There's something wrong with that picture. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for recognizing, but the public need to know this. A Tuskegee University graduate versus a Tuskegee Institute graduate, pride of the swift-growing South.
That sounds like Senator Stewart needs to know that too. It's what it sounds like to me. Yeah. Question for the body now is adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 100 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Question for the body now is final passage of SB 119. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 99 ayes, 0 nays. SB 119 has passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, body.
Thank the lady. Clerk, call next bill. While he's making his way down here, we got some special guests in the audience. Wayne and Carol Hughley from Colbert County, grandparents of Reagan Hughley. And he is, Reagan is the Speaker's intern, better known as Regina, and guest of Representative Underwood. Thank y'all for being with us today. Representative Travis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've been asked to present SB 238 by Senator Price. This is a bill to modify the Alabama Home Builders Initiative Act. This bill allows the fund was put in place to help with housing downturn. Funds have been created, put available. So it does not require an additional fund, but it does give it allows the act and the Alabama House Finance Authority to modify the act so that they can adjust to any downturns to help increase home ownership and home buying in the state of Alabama. So without any other questions, I move for the BIR.
That is questions, adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 98 ayes, 0 nays. The BR has been adopted. Representative.
Mr. Speaker, then if I have no other questions, I move for final passage of SB 238.
That is questions, final passage of SB 238. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 99 ayes, 0 nays. SB 238 has passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank the gentleman. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 33 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 150 by Senator Gudger relating to taxation.
Representative Ellis, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the recognition. Members, Senate Bill 150 is the exact same version of HB 220 that we've already passed 101 to nothing earlier in the session. To remind you, it's the Alabama Tourism Protection Act that makes online platforms collect the lodging tax at the time of booking. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I call for the BR.
That is questions, adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 101 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Chairman Ellis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And with that, if there's no further questions, I call for final passage.
That is questions, final passage of SB 150. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 102 ayes, 0 nays. SB 150 has passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, members.
Clerk, call next bill.
On page 43 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 235 by Senator Barfoot relating to crimes and offenses.
Chair recognizes Representative Betso.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the recognition. Members, this is a companion bill to HB 320 that we have passed here already. This relates to the information that we release to juveniles who have committed crimes. This specifically lays out the process of when that information can be released, and this was an update to a bill that was passed just a few years ago.
Question for the body's adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 101 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted.
Mr. Speaker, I'd call for final passage.
That is questions, final passage of SB 235. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote.
The motion would be House bill if it was.
Clerk will lock the machine. Record the vote. 101 ayes, 0 nays. SB 235 has passed.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to make a motion to indefinitely postpone HB 320.
Now, you've heard the request. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? It is postponed. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 45 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 299 by Senator Singleton relating to the legislature.
Chairman Lovern, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, this bill provides that agencies may use appropriate funds for a section of the bill for certain expenses for the legislative agencies for our accounting policies, and clears up some things through the Legislative Council and the Comptroller. And with that, I'd ask for the BIR.
That's questions. Adoption of the BR. Clerk will lock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the vote. 101 ayes, 0 nays. The BR has been adopted. Chairman Lovern.
With that, ask for final passage.
Chair recognizes the lady from Madison, Representative Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The gentleman here.
Yes, ma'am.
You indicated that it clears up some things for the comptroller. Can you give me a little?
Yes, ma'am. We have some shared expenses, especially coming up with the construction of the new State House.
Sure.
We are claiming a portion of a street, and that is usually divided between the building property owners on either side. And so we've got some property there where Pelham Avenue is going to be closed. So a lot of the utilities that'll go to that building will be shared, so it allows for that communication of funds to be used and that property to be exchanged between the two.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Chair thanks the lady. Question for the body now is final passage of SB 299. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the vote. 102 ayes, 0 nays. SB 299 is passed. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 42 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 164 by Senator Price relating to animals.
Chairman Lovern.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, this bill allows for someone's having, for instance, a purebred cattle sale on their property that's open, allowing people to come onto that property. It just limits some of that liability for the property owners. And with that, I'd ask for BR.
That is questions. Adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the vote. 101 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Chairman Lovern.
That asks for final passage.
That is questions. Final passage of SB 164. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the vote. 101 ayes, 0 nays. SB 164 has passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and the members.
Clerk, call next bill.
On page 43 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 289 by Senator Coleman relating to notary publics.
Representative Tillman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the recognition. Members, Senate Bill 289 is a technical bill that deals with notaries and professionals who may be notaries as well, and allow them during the normal course of business to notarize documents and charge fees. This was omitted from the notary bill that was passed last year, so it's an oversight. With that, Mr. Speaker, I ask for the BR.
That is questions. Adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the vote. 103 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted.
All right, thank you, Mr. Speaker. If there are any more questions, I ask for final passage.
Question for the body is final passage of SB 289. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 99 ayes, 100 ayes, 0 nays. SB 289 has passed.
All right, thank you, members.
Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Clerk, let's call SB 231 out of the basket, please.
Message from the Senate. Mr. Speaker, the Senate has non-concurred in the House amendment to the following Senate bill, Senate Bill number 231, and requests a committee on conference. And the Senate has appointed as committee on part of the Senate, Senators Livingston, Orr, and Singleton. Signed, Pat Harris, Secretary.
Representative Keel, you're recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I move we go to conference.
Unconcurring,
Non-concurring, go to conference.
Okay, you've heard the gentleman's recommendation. The chair recognizes the lady from Madison, Representative Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman yield?
Yes.
Would you tell me what's the concerns or where we didn't agree or disagree in this particular?
There was some concerns about the subcontractor language, making sure that it didn't impact trade unions as subcontractors.
That's all? That's the only area?
That's the only one I'm aware of. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that the language and contract unions were impacted, was it being impacted, they felt in a negative way?
Yes, ma'am. Negatively impact them. So we want to make sure that they are not negatively impacted.
Right, okay, thank you.
Chair thanks the lady. All those in favor of going to conference committee on this, say aye. Any opposed? We have gone to conference. Conferees will be Leader Stathagen, Representative Keel, and Representative Chestnut.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank the gentleman. Ms. Clerk, let's call SB 219 out of the basket, please.
Message from the Senate. Mr. Speaker, the Senate has non-concurred in the House amendment to the following Senate bill, Senate Bill number 219, and requests a committee on conference. And the Senate has appointed as committee on part of the Senate, Senators Shelnut, Smitherman, and Williams. Signed, Patrick Harris, Secretary.
Representative Crawford.
Mr. Speaker, I move we go to conference.
Okay, you heard the gentleman's request is to go to conference. All those in favor would say aye. Any opposed? Yes, ma'am. Come on up.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman tell me what the issues are, please?
I think that the issue is the appointing authority on the board.
Is this the bill that's dealing with
Jefferson.
the
Alabama Farm Center?
right?
Yes, ma'am.
And so you think that causes the
That's what I hear. No one is.
oh the rumor is
The rumor is.
that it's about the board.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Well,
I
thank
think-
you.
I think we can work it out.
I believe you can too. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair thanks the lady. The conferees for SB 219 will be Crawford, Witt, and Representative Sam Jones. Mr. Clerk, let's call HB 315 out of the basket, please.
Message from the Senate. Mr. Speaker, the Senate has amended as therein shown, and as amended has passed the following House bill and returned same herewith to the House of Representatives. House Bill number 315, signed Patrick Harris, Secretary.
Representative Marcus.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would concur. I would like to concur what the Senate added on. The road builders and ALDOT, this was a move-over bill that we passed. They wanted some language in there to make it very clear
that they were included in that bill. So I would concur. It just adds the maintenance and activities related to construction and surveying.
Okay, you've heard the gentleman's explanation. He wishes to concur. All those in favor will say aye. Any opposed? It is concurred.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, members.
Let's come back. That's my understanding. We need a recorded vote on the motion to concur. My bad. Clerk, unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk, lock machine. Record the vote. 103 ayes, 0 nays. Chair, thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, members.
Mr. Clerk, let's call up HB 352.
Message from the Senate. Mr. Speaker, the Senate has amended as therein shown and as amended has passed the following House bill and returned same herewith to the House of Representatives. House Bill number 352, signed Patrick Harris, Secretary.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Speaker, I move to concur. There actually were no changes. It was a technical change from some problems when it was engrossed.
You've heard the gentleman's explanation. He wishes to concur. Clerk, unlock machine. Members vote. Clerk, lock machine. Record the votes. 101 ayes, 0 nays. HB 352 has been concurred.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and body.
Mr. Clerk, let's pull out SB 122.
Message from the Senate. Mr. Speaker, the Senate has non-concurred in the House amendment to the following Senate bill. Senate Bill number 122, and request a committee on conference. And the Senate has appointed as committee on part of the Senate, Senators Elliott, Kelly, Singleton, signed Patrick Harris, Secretary.
Chairman Wilcox, you're recognized.
We'll non-concur and move to go to conference, please.
Okay, you heard the sponsor's wishes. All those in favor say aye.
Thank you.
Conferees for SB 122 will be Representative Wilcox, Representative Lawrence, and Representative Mac Butler. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Lee, Chairman Lovern.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a resolution.
Clerk, see the resolution.
House Resolution number 257 by the House Rules Committee, a special order calendar.
Move for adoption.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? It is adopted. Ms. Clerk, let's call up first bill.
On page 55 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 136 by Senator Gudger, relating to the statewide 911 board.
Representative Underwood, you're recognized.
Thank you for the recognition, Mr. Speaker. This is the another sunset bill. We reviewed this board and vetted it well. We are recommending a renewal continuing as is until 2026, two-year renewal. With that, I call for the BR.
Chair recognizes the lady from Mobile, Representative Wilcox.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want the body to recognize what Representative Underwood has done on this particular bill and on the funding for our 911 boards. Their formula was something they were holding on to a lot of money statewide. Representative Underwood understood that they might have had how much money in their bank account?
42 million at the time.
And yet our 911 boards were starving for money. So I just want y'all to recognize what he did as far as attacking their formula for how they were distributing the money and making sure that the money got to its intended purposes to our local 911 boards.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Question for the body is adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record vote. 101 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Representative Underwood.
Final passage, please.
And that is question final passage of SB 136. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record vote. 103 ayes, 0 nays. SB 136 is passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thanks, the gentleman. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 49 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 137 with substitute by Senator Gudger relating to the Alabama Board of Massage Therapy.
Representative Robbins.
We have a bill about massage therapy, and it's that the Massage Therapy Board was being reconstituted as the Alabama Board of Massage Therapy. And we're going to have a substitute of that, but I move for the BIR.
That's questions. Adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 95 ayes, 0 nays. The BR has been adopted. Representative Robbins.
I'd like to introduce the sub now.
Representative Brace, you don't speak on the sub or the bill. Question for the body is.
I have sorry, Speaker, I realized that I have a committee sub, and so from the committee sub until the floor, we made a few more changes to the bill, which I can go over, but I'd like to table the committee sub to then speak on the actual floor sub.
Sure. Representative Brace, you don't speak on this. You don't wait. Okay. So the question for the body is to table the committee sub. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the vote. 102 ayes, 0 nays. The committee sub has been tabled. Representative Robertson.
And now I would like to introduce a floor sub, and I can speak to what the floor sub is.
Okay, go ahead.
So with the floor sub, what we're doing is, because there were some findings and some problems with massage therapy, we are sunsetting that board, and we are creating the Alabama Board of Massage Therapy. But because of the problems that were found in that board, it will fall under the Board of Nursing. And what we had in the committee sub was until January 1, 2025. But having conversations with nursing, we're giving them until August 1, 2025, where they will oversee this board, this newly constituted Board of Massage Therapy. And we are also eliminating any reference to an executive director for that board because there won't be one. And so that's kind of cleaning up the language within the bill from when we passed it out of the committee. And we are also changing a few words where schools are accredited, not licensed, and we had no reference to maintaining your license or accreditations for 6 more months until you can get certified by the Board of Nursing in massage therapy. So with that, I move for acceptance of the floor sub.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Mobile, Representative Bracy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With the gentleman yield?
Of course.
Maybe you can help clear some things that you want to tell me kind of what you and Chris talking about?
Yeah, I'll tell you, Chris was asking for a copy, and I said, I've got my copy here, which I can hand you, but in case someone else comes back, and Karen's got a copy, but, and I'll show you, it's got where everything is marked through. So what it in essence does is what we passed in committee. Remember, we had some debate on this bill and some questions and about some of the findings. But what we did in between that time was where the way the bill was originally written was that it would go under this board, this one board would go over to the Department of Labor and their occupational board that was being set up.
Right.
So this would be the only board, and personnel said a couple things. One, they weren't sure if they could handle that, and they said it would give us, they needed some time to set that up.
Okay.
And so one, that deadline that we'd given them, we weren't sure if they could.
Window was too small for
Was too small.
Okay.
And so what we did, instead of just where it said shall go there, we just deleted that out. So basically, this board will be under nursing until August 1, 2025. So this is just a Band-Aid. So next session, we're going to come back. And if that board, occupational licensing board, has been set up, we can move it over there. Or if not, we'll just say, all right, you become your own standalone board. But it'll stay under nursing, and we just deleted out all that about it shall go to.
I got you. And this was very complicated from the very beginning. Just when they came down and you talking about sunsetting the board and putting the massage therapy board under the board of nursing, and then I heard someone say why it wouldn't go under the chiropractors board and some other things. And I know it's some level of stability with the board of nursing when it come down to making sure that people are in compliance and doing things that they need to do. It's probably the right place to park it, just from looking at the different boards, and you know that. But what stuck out to me was the fact that Senator Elliott's bill failed in the Senate, and they started to try to insert that language into this bill, which was adopted in the substitute, that would create this new position that would be overseeing all the boards and things like that, which I think takes away from the single subject matter of bills, which I think it made the bill unconstitutional. Are you familiar with what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about, and we've addressed that. That's.
Tell me a little bit about that part, because that's the part that alarms me, and that's what I was, when Matt was originally going to carry this bill, I was so happy that he carried it over, because my light was on, like, hey, let's have a conversation about this, because it just doesn't seem like it fit the way that it, you know, pass it out.
Yeah, so if you look at that one, see, I have the marked up version, so you can see it. It's on line, it'd probably be about line 42, the end of section B1. See where it's marked through concerning, it's marked through where it says, the newly appointed executive director of the Alabama Massage Therapy Licensing Board owner before. See, that's marked through, and it's also marked through every mention of an executive director of the licensing board, but also marked through is every reference to that occupational licensing board.
Okay.
So there would be no, so what we're just doing is saying you are with nursing.
Right.
And nursing will oversee you. You're not going anywhere until we can see that you actually can handle it yourself.
Right.
But we're also not sending you over to the occupational licensing board either, which doesn't currently exist.
Right. It was kind of like we was parking this to create something, and it just really didn't fit. This was not the mechanism for that to happen. So are they just going to try to just, since that's now pulled out, are they going to just try to create that as a standalone, or are we going to continue to operate the way that we've been operating through sunset and boards and commissions?
Well, you know, I can't speak to what they want to do. I know that
What's your thoughts on it? Because we have to have a part in that, because
we're on the committee
right.
that reviews this. And I think that, I mean, we have a legislative process, and we have within that legislative process sunset. And so that gives us the oversight over these boards. And if there is a bad actor, like we said, massage was a bad actor,
Right.
that we can then we can unwind them. So then are we delegating some of our legislative power if we create a new governing body to
The
oversee
executive
them?
branch, right?
And so then, I don't know what the right course of action is. I do think that maybe there could be some boards that could be consolidated. We've talked about that in committee. We'd say, well, why do we have this if we also have this board?
Right.
But with that being said, I think that we need to actually, if we even go that route, we need to actually make sure it can work before we just say, here, there's a board over there.
Right.
And then Labor's got to catch up to establishing it before we even have it set up and it's standing on its own legs.
Was Labor in favor of receiving that, creating that? Because I guess I'm only hearing from like one side. Like I don't know if they were actually in favor in the first place. I never really heard if nursing was in favor. You know what I mean?
Well,
So it's
I
just
can answer the second part.
one.
Nursing is in favor.
Okay.
And nursing agreed when talking with Chairman Wilcox. They said we're good with August 1st, 2025.
Okay.
We're good with that. So we know for a fact.
I bet they
nursing
want
is
us
good.
to sunset them having this responsibility as well. Probably.
Probably. I mean, at a
Yeah, I'm
certain
sure
point,
they
you
would.
say, yeah, well, I can help you far. But
little
at a certain
bit.
point, you got to ride the bike yourself. You got to
Right.
go. But in terms of labor, I don't know where labor stands on this and that broader issue of being this occupational licensing approval board. I don't know where they stand.
I would hope that before we move on something that significant, that we would at least sit down to the table with them and have a conversation to see if this is something that they have the capability of doing, because right now they don't have the capability of doing it, and see if this is something that would fit under their umbrella in a good manner, and if it's something that they feel that is their responsibility, because it may be that we're giving our legislative authority over to the executive branch to do some things that we should be doing. So I guess that would be a concern as well. Just, it's a lot of moving parts to it. And it really got confusing when the amendments started rolling in on the substitute. And it was kind of like, constitutionally, this can't work. And then you come to find out that you had a bill that died and you just really tried to bury that within this. And it just makes you wonder, why did that bill die in the first place to create this position to try to insert into the committee sub that we're dealing with now? Like, what happened with that?
I mean, I'm not a senator. I'm not in the Senate. I can't speak to what their
But you're
debate was
well
and why.
versed on these topics. Like, we both study this stuff. So I'm just wondering, because I'm not always privileged to know what happened. So
But,
just kind of wondering, what happened with that to try to insert it in this?
Well, again, same thing with you. I'm not always privileged to everything either. All I know is that I was kind of tasked with reviewing the bill after I was asked, since I was the vice chair, and said, can you review this and make some changes to it? And so I've been singularly focused on this bill and how it would play out, and I haven't looked at the forest from the trees, I guess you'll say. I've been focused on this. So I don't really know what those dialogues were with the Senate and their leadership and everything.
Do you feel confident that, based off of what we had as a pretty clean bill, it kind of got muddy, and now we're cleaning it back up? Do you feel confident at this point that we're now at the stage where we should be, between you and I, as people that's been working on this?
I think
this is where we need to be.
I think
right
it's
now.
where we need to be.
Okay.
I think it's exactly where we need to be.
Okay.
It takes care of all the issues that were discussed, and it finds a kind of a compromise for
All right.
everybody.
Well, thank you, man. I respect that. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you this morning.
Oh, anytime.
Chair thanks the gentleman. Chair recognizes the lady from Madison, Representative Hall.
Thank you, Mrs. Speaker. With the gentleman here, One of
course
my
I will.
concerns is the substitute. This is a lot to deal with. So you got rid of the committee's sub, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And so now on the floor, we get another sub. So what I'm asking you to do for me is, from the information that I have, share with me, what was the sub like? What did we take from the
Well,
the
if
sub?
so, do you have the floor sub in front of you?
I have the write-up, yes.
Okay, and do you have you just have the floor sub and not the committee sub? But what I can tell you what we took from the committee sub.
And let me tell you why I have an issue with stuff like this. There's a lot of stuff to get caught up in these when we do this. I'm just nosy and want to know what I'm doing.
Well, I appreciate how nosy you are. I think it's great that we're nosy, because that's the way, I agree, you can slide things. If there weren't nosy people, then stuff would get by.
And in doing so, I like to read. So I got here early and start reading, and then I come on the floor, and we have this floor sub, which is a lot of information.
It is a lot of information.
And just
but-
from listening to the conversation you just had from a person that's on your committee, they've not seen, based on the conversation I heard from Mr. Bracy, he hasn't seen the sub either. Okay, so but go ahead, tell me what we're working with here.
Well, what
I'm
we're
probably
working
not
with here,
voting for it. Yeah, go
and
ahead.
we could have amended the committee sub, but it felt like it was easier just to do a sub from that, because it's really not that many changes, but it's easier to do it as
Well, let
a
me say this.
floor sub.
Why
So
you say that, for those of us that follow along, an amendment, you can look at what you have and put in place those things. But I hear you. Go
Well,
ahead.
that's a good point. That's a very good point, Ms. Hall. But actually, that's very true. So what we've done is, it did say until January 1, 2025. So we changed that date until August 1, 2025, meaning that nursing will hold the Board of Massage Therapy. It'll be under their auspice until August 1 as opposed to January 1. And since there isn't an executive director of Massage Therapy Licensing Board, because it'll be under nursing, we deleted that reference to the executive director of the Massage Therapy Licensing Board. And in the bill, it had also said that it said shall be transferred to the Occupational Licensing Board in the Department of Labor. We just struck that from the language from the bill. And so
you struck the language that says shall be transferred?
Correct. So what we've done is basically we're reconstituting this board. So the board was sunsetted, but we didn't know exactly where to take the board. And as Representative Bracy said, this was kind of a confusing bill, and it's been a lot of ups and downs and moving parts for something that seems simple, but it's kind of not. So then it said, well, what do we do with you? We've got to move you here. But then how long can they keep you? And they've agreed to August 1, 2025, which gives us a whole nother session to come back. And then at that point, we can see if the Occupation Licensing Board has been established in labor, and we could transfer it there, or if it hasn't, or it's been voted down by the legislature, whatever happens, we could then say, okay, well, now we can move you away from nursing, and you can stand alone as your own therapy board. So that whatever we pass today is going to be sunsetted in a year, regardless of what we do.
So when you say you reconstituted the board, did you get more, what does that look like? Did you make it smaller, larger, increase, decrease? I mean.
Well, what we did was, you previously had a massage board, and what we've done is we created a new massage therapy board. And
So does that take away all of the people that are presently serving?
Yes.
Okay.
Because of
That's fine.
bad actions that were found, and I can go through some of those with you as to why. The significant issues were that in 2023, there was one, that board chairperson did not recuse herself from the adoption of the investigation committee's recommendation for complaints. Number two in 23 was The chairperson executed an emergency contract for administrative management and logistical support. And the same thing, executed a contract without proper authority for $11,000, made 24 payments to a management firm supporting documentation for those 20 payments. You can see, here's the list of, and they had an issue with not enforcing some of their rules and regulations against members.
Do you have a date on that when this board was formed? Because I remember there was.
It was created in 1996.
That's right. And there were many challenges in the creation of that board in 1996.
I'm sure.
But they were.
And so what we've done is for 6 months, you'll be grandfathered in if you were a massage therapist, you are a therapist, a location, if you were a teacher or you're an accredited school, you'll be grandfathered in. But now we will have, hopefully, the oversight to say you must follow all the rules, and here are the rules.
And the nursing department, the Board of Nursing is going to be the oversight or the managing
Correct.
team. Got the sub information, funding problems. Furman. Need to cover, that's everything that's been covered in the floor substitute.
I mean,
now, I'm going to tell you, anytime a floor sub, I'm going to be a no vote. If it is a sub, and especially if it's 28 pages, because it's difficult at best keeping up with what you bring.
Right. Well, I completely understand. If there's a bill I haven't read thoroughly, I usually abstain or vote no, just because I'd hate to say vote yes without knowing exactly what it is. And I'd rather err on the side of a no than a. So I appreciate your comments.
Thank you.
Chair thanks the lady. Chair recognizes the lady from Baldwin, Representative Fiddler.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just had a comment when I heard the sub and I've heard your explanation. I did reach out to one of my constituents that's in the massage therapy world, and I kind of explained to her what this would mean, that it would sunset in August of 2025. It would be under this Board of Nursing, and there was positive feedback.
Well, good. Thank you.
So I just wanted to share that with you and the body, that it's from one constituent in Baldwin County in the massage therapy world. They feel like this is a good avenue to go. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Question for the body now is the adoption of the floor sub. Chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson, Representative Van.
Microphone. I just told them they always tell me to get somebody. I said, I don't always try to get people. That's not why I come up here. And I just want to set the record straight. I've said this all year long. I do not come up here to get anyone. I simply come up here to learn, to gather knowledge, clarity, and understanding of whatever the piece of legislation is, and to also shine a light on when you all do not do right. But I don't know what this bill is, but I would like to know, because I saw massage therapy come up. And let me just tell you my story about massage therapists. Whenever I see something that says massage therapy, it takes me back to when I first started practicing, and I would handle a lot of indigent defense cases in the city of Birmingham Municipal Court. And most of my clients were people who were massage therapists from the east side of town who ran what we thought were legitimate businesses, but they ultimately were prostitutes, running prostitution rings out of these establishments. So whenever I see massage therapy, I say, it just takes me back. But help me understand what your bill does. Don't tweet me, text me, email me, message me, IG me. I have to make that disclaimer because I know when I'm gonna get a few phone calls. But just give me the clarity.
Well, I'll try to give you, I think I'll be able to give you the clarity. So we had a Board of Massage. They were sunsetted because of the violations that we talked about with Representative Hall, that they were sunsetted. So that means that we then had to either say, all right, there would be no professional board overseeing massage therapists, or we had to reconstitute a board. So at that point, because the legislature oversees them, this bill was started in the Senate to say we're going to reconstitute a board for the regulation of massage therapists. And that bill came down. They passed it in the Senate. It came down to the boards, agencies, and commissions committee. They, as in the Senate, had a committee sub brought to us right before, and in that it had reference to that occupational board that would be in the Department of Labor. So it would say, we'll just send you over here because when we reconstitute you, you will go to that board. Well, this floor sub takes that out because that occupational board hasn't been set up. So there's no entity to send it to oversee it.
So there's no oversight authority already in place or that will be in place, or will you all create an oversight authority?
Well, there is oversight now, and that's the Sunset Committee, and that's us as the legislature.
I got that.
The previous bill or the previous committee sub would do would send it to the Department of Labor, which does not oversee occupational licensing now, and would create a position within Labor to be the occupational licensing board.
Is this something that they would be in favor of?
Well, they don't have the mechanism now to even do it.
So they're not in a position to curate this process that.
Correct. So that's why we took it out, and that's why we did it through this floor sub. And we gave nursing that was going to oversee it until August 1 of next year. So that lets us get massage therapy back out so they can be regulated. But we'll come back next session and have a permanent solution to the massage therapist.
Okay. Do we know how many massage therapies there are or that there are in the state of Alabama, roughly?
3,179.
Really?
That's total licenses.
That's
so
total license.
So that means you can get a license if you're a massage therapist, and that's also the license for the building itself and the license for your instructor or a school. So when you put all those together, it adds up to over 3,000.
But those are not individual licensees as it relates to just individual persons.
Right. There's not 3,000 people.
I was getting ready to say that's a whole lot of.
But apparently there's a lot for us to be doing all this debate on and all this massage therapy.
I mean, I didn't know that. Like I said, again, my question is, I just wanted to get declared again. This is just every time I see it, it doesn't matter when we bring it up and when it comes up in something regarding the sunset, I always it just takes me back. So I just wanted to get the clarity. So this would now fall under your the authority of the Department of Labor, or that?
No, it would fall under the Board of Nursing until August 1, 2025, and the next session we'll come back and give it a more permanent solution. But this is to tie it over until August of next year, and it will not before it said shall be transferred to the Department of Labor, and we took that out, and we just extended the time for it to August.
Okay. All right, I just wanted to know. Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome.
Chair, thanks, Olay. The question for the body now is adoption of the floor sub. Clerk will unlock the machine and members vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 96 ayes, 2 nays. SB 137 has passed as amended.
And with that, I move for final passage of the.
That's sub, I'm sorry. That's questions final passage of SB 137 as sub. Clerk on the lock machine and the members vote. Clerk lock machine, record the vote. 95 ayes, 1 nay. SB 137 has passed.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, body.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right, Mr. Clerk, let's call up the next bill.
On page 58 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 67 with substitute by Senator Albritton, the general fund budget.
Chairman Reynolds, you're recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to ask to call Senate Bill 67 over, carry it over.
To call the chair.
Yes, sir.
All right, everybody heard we're going to carry once SB 67 over to call the chair. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? The bill has been carried over. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 59 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 66 with substitute by Senator Albritton relating to supplemental appropriations.
Chairman Reynolds, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And members, just so you know, we did bring additional copies. These are the same copies that were available during the briefing yesterday at the caucus. There will be, of course, a sub today to represent the House version, and we will also have an amendment, and we have copies of the amendment up here as well. As you recall, members, when we did the briefing, we ended the 23 fiscal year in September with about a 16.6% increase from 23 numbers over 22. So it provided for a supplemental appropriation of $461,837,022. So with that, I would ask at this point, let's adopt the sub. So I'm talking about our version of the budget. Call for the BR.
That is questions, adoption of the BR. Clerk, one lock machine, the members vote. Clerk, lock machine, record the votes. 99 ayes, 0 nays. The BR has been adopted. Chairman Reynolds.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And on the House version of the committee sub, we propose the proposed supplemental is $253,875,169, which is $38,447 more than the Senate version. Again, during the briefing, we talked about the confidence we have in the additional revenue being received. And typically, we look at that through a 2-year cycle, just like the 22 to 23 and then the 23 to 24. Moving into the 25 cycle. So it could be as much as $185 million more in that 2-year cycle than what was originally projected by the governor's office. We've had several more months to look at the revenue. We feel, as I said yesterday, we feel very confident in that. And our major contributors there to that supplemental was at the end of the fiscal year before September 30th, was our interest on state accounts. We were seeing some 45 to 50 million additional dollars per month once those interest rates got to 5%. Now that could begin to filter down, because the rates could drop, but also as we expend money from those state accounts. So we still feel comfortable with that. Insurance premium tax continue to be very strong. Our SSUT tax and our ad valorem tax continue to make this supplemental available just as it did last year. The only negative, the only subtraction from what you saw in the Senate version was the VETS recovery reduction from $2.5 million to $2 million, and that funding was moved to Dovetail Landing Veterans Program. And Mr. Speaker, I have an amendment.
Clerk, see the amendment. Mr. Chairman Reynolds, I think we got to adopt the sub first.
Okay.
That's what we need to do.
Move for full adoption of the sub.
Okay. Chair recognizes the lady from Madison. You want to speak on the sub? No. Okay. Representative Mooney, you speaking on the sub? I was looking for you up there.
Thank you, sir. Whether it was the sub or it was the main bill, I wanted everybody to understand clearly that some things have been done quietly without people pushing or whatever, but you've been responsible for helping the Human Trafficking Task Force to actually have a budget with which they could try and do the things that need to be done with the epidemic process that's going on all over our main interstate 65 and 20. And besides that, other areas where economic processes were going on with funds that could be applied into local areas that would increase and provide more funds to the general fund and to the Special Education Trust Fund. And on behalf of the Human Trafficking Task Force, because I serve on that for the House, very thankful for that process of you getting that done so that this organization can stop the process of being just hand to mouth constantly. It's very important. I don't know that it's going to be noticed, but certainly noticed by those of us who are working on it. Thank you, sir.
Very, very important enforcement initiative. Thank you.
Chair thanks the gentleman. Question for the body now is adoption of the sub. Clerk on the lock machine and the members will vote. Clerk lock machine, record the vote. 102 ayes, 0 nays. Sub has been adopted. Chairman Reynolds.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And members, on the amendment, you want to adopt the amendment? And we've got several changes. We added $7 million to the line item that was originally $300,000 for the veterans. This does not impact the general fund. Just the procedures allows the language to be there to transfer that from the Veterans Assistance Fund. And then secondly, on replace line 103 to be used for Crenshaw County Recreational Complex, $750,000 shall be used for the town of Cottonwood for tornado assistance, $100,000 for the town of St. Florine Police Department at $25,000. There was one removal, and that was the $500,000 supplemental only line item from the NCAC. And with that, I'll ask for adoption of the amendment.
Okay, the question, clerk see the amendment.
Amendment to Senate Bill number 66 by Representative Reynolds.
Question for the body is adoption of the amendment. Clerk on the lock machine, the members will vote. Clerk will lock machine, record the vote. 101 ayes, 0 nays. Amendment has been adopted. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If there's no question, any additional questions, I'll ask for final passage of the SB 66 House sub.
This question is final passage of SB 66. Clerk on the lock machine, the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 103 ayes, 0 nays. SB 66 has passed.
Thank you, members. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 59 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 68 by Senator Albritton relating to state employees.
Mr. Speaker, I'll yield to Ms. Hall.
Representative Hall, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Member, Senate Bill 68 is giving a 2% raise to state employers. I call for the BRR.
That is the question, is adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine and record the votes. 103 ayes, 0 nays. The BR has been adopted. Representative Hall.
So if there are no questions, I call for final passage.
That is the question, is final passage of SB 68. Clerk will unlock the machines and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 102 ayes, 0 nays. SB 68 has passed. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 60 of the calendar is Senate Bill number 69 by Senator Albritton relating to the Children First Trust Fund.
Representative Hall, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This particular bill, the Children's Trust Fund, is making appropriations of $39,531,128 to the Children's Trust Fund for the fiscal year September in September 2025. And if you recall, this also deals with the different agencies, would appropriate funding to the different agencies such as the Alcoholic Beverage, Children's Trust Fund, Forensic Science, Department of Human Resources, Juvenile Probation Services, Alabama Medicaid Agency, Mental Health, Children's Fund, Multiple Needs Children Fund, Public Health, and total appropriation, as I stated, is $39,531,128. I move for the BRR.
That is the question, is adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 103 ayes, 0 nays. SB 69's BR has been adopted.
If there are no questions, I ask for final passage.
That is the question, is final passage of SB 69. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 103 ayes, 0 nays. SB 69 has passed. Mr. Clerk, let's call the next bill.
On page 61 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 70 by Senator Albritton relating to the Coalition Against Domestic Violence.
Representative Hall, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This appropriation, Senate 70, is to make appropriations of $169,633 to Coalition Against Domestic Violence for the fiscal year ended in September 30, 2025. I call for the BRR.
That is the question, is adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 100 ayes, 0 nays. The BR has been adopted. Representative Hall.
No other questions. I call for final passage.
That is the question, is final passage of SB 70. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote.
Thank you.
Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 103 ayes, 0 nays. SB 70 has passed. Thank the lady. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 21 of the calendar, House Bill number 394 by Representative Reynolds relating to the FY24 Alabama Building Renovation Finance Authority Bill.
Thank you,
Chairman
Mr.
Reynolds.
Thank you, Speaker. Members, this is dealing with the Alabama Building Renovation Finance Authority. This is the organization that maintains our state-owned properties and facilitates the rent of those properties. The attached bill will provide up to $50 million of bond authority and also allow for the bonds to be sold by either a competitive or a negotiated sale. Again, this money does not come out of the general fund. These funds the debt service comes out of the rent that is paid by the clients to which rent those facilities. With that, I'll call for the BR.
Next question of the body is adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 103 ayes, 0 nays. The BR has been adopted. Chairman Reynolds.
If there's no further questions, Speaker, I'll call for the final passage.
That's the questions. Final passage of HB 394. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 100 ayes, 0 nays. HB 394 has passed.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, members, and we hope to see the budget later this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank the gentleman. Great work. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Mobile, Pro Tem Pringle.
Ladies and gentlemen, I move the House stand in recess until 2 p.m., and I understand food has been ordered for us. I don't know where, but I understand we have some food.
All those in favor say aye.
Welcome.
Any opposed? We're in recess.